Good evening and welcome to News Night. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, Senior Minister Yao Safumafo admits government is no longer fixated on delivering at least one district in all 216 districts across the country in the government's first term in office.
So it's not the arithmetic that within 4 years everybody will have one. But I believe that majority of districts would have had theirs by first 4 years. I don't believe that every district, the interest shown will be equal in all districts. The fact that need not necessarily be plant a machinery. People can grow even flowers and export. That will be an industry.
We'll give you details of that. Also, National Security commences full-scale investigations into evasion of penalty at weighbridge stations across the country, following reports of Ghana Bauxite Company's involvement in overloading its haulage trucks.
Of course, there is a full-scale national security investigation currently going on across the country wherever these weighbridges are to ensure that the government is fully abreast in respect of the losses.
We have details of a Ghana Highway Authority memo accusing private weighbridge operators of bribery and corruption.
And in business, construction banks dependent on Bank of Ghana's approval after the institution surrendered its license to the regulator.
Coming up later in sports, Sports Ministry confident that Ghana will not lose hosting rights of the 2018 Women's AFCON rights to South Africa.
And also, President Akufo-Addo receives the green light to complete the appointment process of Jean Mensah as new EC chair following Supreme Court's dismissal of an injunction application seeking to halt the process. And if you drive a vehicle with engine capacity of 3.0 litres upwards starting tomorrow, August 1, you'll be paying up to 2,000 Ghana cedis as luxury taxes on those vehicles.
If you're going to come up with levies and have the justifications for them, also let's see the real meaning of roadworthiness.
Currently, I'm paying 102 Ghana cedis, and I'm told with effects from tomorrow, I'm going to pay about 1,000 Ghana cedis, which is about 1,000% increment.
Tonight, we'll get to hear from some of these owners who rushed the DVLA to renew their document ahead of the enforcement of the directive. Have you renewed yours?
I'm heading there tonight.
You may want to join us with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp is 0244340437. I am MFR Pao.
And my name is Evans Mensah. Details after the break.
Come and see you. I just got a new SIM. And Airtel Tigo is yinkeche. Sir, I just got bonus for my credit top up. And I can choose whether I want to browse with it or make Airtel Tigo calls. Sir, look, I even got 100 megabytes free data for the first credit I loaded on my phone this month. And next month too, I will get free 100 megabyte data on my first reload, sir, for 6 months.
Hey, sir.
And now that I can call and browse for only 10% rates, then they're talking and browsing there. It's Yemusa.
Join Airtel Tigo today, and you too can talk and browse, sir. No hidden charges. Just buy a new Airtel Tigo SIM and recharge. Terms and conditions apply. The network that gives you the most. Airtel Tigo.
You're welcome back to News Night here on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll begin with this very topical issue, the debate on whether or not government can deliver on its grand promise of having at least one factory in all 216 districts across the country in its first term in office. And it's tonight, it's been settled?
Well, it has been. Senior Minister Yao Safumafo today admitted government would not be fixated on the MPP's own manifesto promise of delivering on that promise within 4 years. Now, speaking at the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting, Mr. Safumafo said government is simply hoping to have factories in a majority of districts in its first term.
Number of, as I said, this is going to be a private sector-led program. And therefore, if for whatever reason there are no applications for a particular district, then they will not be in the first batch, naturally, because it is not the government that is going to start and own these industries. It must originate from the private sector. So I dare say that there are some districts which have about 3 applications, very strong ones, because they have certain infrastructure, they have certain raw materials, which make it easy for some of these things. So it's not the arithmetic that within 4 years everybody will have one. But I believe that majority of districts would have had theirs by first 4 years. The others will also be assisted by certain policies, because the policy will be identified based on need basis. And I believe that the idea is to create employment as well. The idea is to discourage people moving from the rural area into the cities. So along the line, the government would have to find a formula whereby districts which are not able to have this thing generated through the private sector will be assisted through the district assembly ownership to have this 1D, 1F. Every district has a district assembly. And therefore, it is likely that if a particular district has a particular problem, we can use the district assembly structure to support an industrial establishment. I can also see that the fortunes of some districts are twined together in terms of raw materials. So you may have a major district, 2 districts, having one major industry because the raw materials are stretched from one district to the other, as you see in many areas. So yes, so far, the expressions are there. I don't believe that every district, the interest shown will be equal in all districts. And those who have difficulties will be assisted through the district assemblies to resolve their problem.
And another an important point about not getting fixated about we're doing on all the districts in 4 years, which tends to be the case in our country. That not getting fixated.
You should not. You should not get fixated on that one, because the blessings of district differ from one to the other. Interests will differ from one to the other. And therefore, let's see how many come up. If out of the 216, we have, say, 160, well done. That's a good source of employment for most part of the country. Then the government determines other policies to create a stimulus to get, using the district assemblies, every district to come on board.
But that's not what you promised us.
Oh, no, that's what we promised. Because, you see, this cannot go alone. You will notice that concurrently, we are talking about one village, one dam. Concurrently, we are putting up warehouses. There are areas which will go more agro-industry. And therefore, you need to support them with water, with these dams. And therefore, we must say that there will be something differently. If there's going to be good agricultural enterprises supported on the export sector, growing vegetables, that, of course, will be a factory. A factory need not necessarily be plant and machinery. People can grow even flowers and export. That will be an industry. We are buying flowers from South Africa here today. So why can't we do that kind of promotion in other areas?
So that's the senior minister speaking today at the Graphic Business Stanbic Bank breakfast meeting. NMFI, he also talked about what has happened so far in terms of implementing the one district, one factory, and the assessments that have been done and what they're hoping to be the number of factories they can get actually producing stuff by the end of the year. Listen.
Now, I'm reliably informed that so far, the minister has received 781 expressions of interest, out of which 632 have been reviewed and 332 are currently being processed for financial support. So far, 15 projects have been approved for implementation under the 1D, 1F. And we are happy to say that a number of banks have shown keen interest in the support. We expect that by end of this year, 50 of those which have been appraised will be in production. GCB has agreed to make available to support the 1D, 1F, 1 billion cedis. UBA has agreed to support by 880 million. ADB, 200 million, Exim Bank 103 million, UMB 440 million, SGSSB 25 million. We continue to count. Other banks are discussing with us.
So that's the senior minister there. And if you recall, last year the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, launched the One District, One Factory in the Central Region, at a Kumfi to be very specific, where there's one factory there that was sort of going to serve as a foundational factory to launch the entire policy. Well, my colleague Richard Kodonyako has been there today following up. Apparently, there are two factories in the Central Region as part of the One District One Factory policy, and he's been following up just to try and track where they are in terms of getting the factory up and running. Kojo joins us on the line. Hello, Kodonyako. Hello, Kojo.
Hello.
Kojo, what did you find? First, let's start with the Kumfi fruits and juice factory. Have they started producing anything yet?
No, it's not. They've not started producing anything. In fact, they have walled or fenced where the operational area where they are constructing the factory. What has happened so far are the foundational works, and when I went there, they were working on some steel works, and some metal works were also ongoing. They have, just as I indicated, they have walled the place and they prevent people from entering the facility because they say that work is steadily in progress and they are working on that. Apart from that, there is nothing that has really happened. But I can also say authoritatively that they have also cultivated a number of acres of pineapples, and we've also been churning out all of these things. And they say that the monies were given to them from the One District, One Factory office for the cultivation of the factory. Remember that the Kumfi area is an area where the plants cultivate pineapple a lot. So that is the raw material that is available in that particular part of the Central Region. And so that is what I found with the Kumfi Fruits and Juices factory.
Okay, but there is a second factory, I understand, that is also in Gomwa, correct?
There is one at Gomwa Bewazi, and that is a potato factory. Also, I interacted with the manager there. Nothing concrete has been done. They've only graded the area where the construction is going to take place. In fact, they have a mock factory, a smaller building where they are testing the production of the potatoes into bread, into potato chips, and other things. And they say that they have trained a lot of the outgrowers to give them that variety of potatoes they are supposed to grow. And I was told that they have so far cultivated over 100 acres, and I saw some of the potatoes, but I'm not able to quantify the number of acreages that they have cultivated so far. I'm also told that in the Commander Edmegwa for Brim, precise Yesunkwa, the factory is about 90% complete. I have not been there, but I'm told by the manager of the factory that is, I wasn't able to get there today, but I'm hoping that, God willing, by tomorrow I will be able to get it. But the factory is about 90% complete, and hopefully when it is completed, they will be able to start production.
Thank you very much, Kodonyako, reporting from the Central Region. Today, listening to the senior minister was the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Kariwe, who joins us on the telephone line right now. A huge part of the One District, One Factory is supposed to be agro-based, processing from taking raw produce from the agri sector and processing them in these factories. Let's speak to him. Thank you very much, Mr. Kariwe, for your time here on Newsnight.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Kariwe. Thank you very much for your time on Newsnight.
Yeah, thank you too, and good evening to all of you.
You listened to the senior minister today, and he admits that as far as you're concerned, the best you could do is to have the districts in the factories in a majority of districts, and that in essence agreed we should not get fixated on the one term that they themselves had imposed on themselves in the lead up to the 2016 elections, and that he also introduced some, I guess, changes to the original policy. What's your own reaction to what you heard today?
Well, I think the senior minister, Honorable Mafo, has indeed indicated what we have been observing from the beginning of the policy, that the policy is good, first and foremost, but then it appeared unrealistic at the time that it was introduced. It is good that today there's a review of the policy, because to build a factory according to conservative information, it takes not less than 2 years for a small factory like that. I could see that from 2017 to date, just a few of them are being started, and then they are yet to be completed. So it clearly is the case that they will not be able to actually provide all the 216 factories that were promised under by 2017. So it's a realistic review, and I also even think that by the end of the 2 years or 4 years, I think this figure will still be reviewed downwards further, because the reality on the ground is different from what we anticipate. More importantly, these factories are largely private sector driven, and what we are hearing is that 50% of capital provision is coming from the private sector, and government is only to provide 30%. What it means is that it is the private sector person who controls the rate at which the factory will have to be built. So even though government supports, it will largely depend on the private sector person. So it will be very difficult for government to be able to determine and conclude as to when the factories will be completed, when in actual fact they control only 30% of the construction and then the factory management.
But if you listen to the senior minister today, and he make the point that the timelines, we shouldn't get fixated about it, because it really is about rolling out a policy to create jobs, but also to help the agri sector, a sector that you are a central player in.
Yes, I think what one can observe from the policies of the government is that they want to create a certain synergy, and then a tripartite policy, like the one village, one dump, and then the one district, one factory, and then the planting for food and jobs. You know, how to integrate them to make sure that there are no gaps and that they actually work to feed into one another is the challenge for government. Because the planting for food and jobs, the expectation is that if they produce more, then they will just feed the factories which are to be built within the same area. One of the major problems with agriculture is the market side, because from the farm gate, the market side is far away. But in this case, when the factory is not built in the districts, then it is easier for them to convey to the factory, which is the market. So how to balance and create that strategy, that complex, is the challenge for government. And I think that the reality is we don't necessarily need to have every district for a factory. We need to have factories that sometimes can cut across a number of districts. For instance, if we take the Bolgatanga meat factory that used to be there, it's the entire northern part of the country, because the goods, the cows, all of them from anywhere were transported to that factory. And it created large employment sources. One of the things is that when the factories are just very few or just small ones, their capacity to create decent jobs and many jobs, it becomes constrained. But if they are large factories, you know, you can even talk about them benefiting from economies of large scale and also being able to implement occupational health and safety, and then be able to pay good salaries, decent salaries, and provide decent working environment. So yes, jobs will be created, even if there are smaller factories in the districts, but to extent will those jobs be decent? All these things, we are not just looking at jobs, but we are looking at that actually will the worker can depend on. Today, there are many people in Ghana who claim to have jobs, but by the end of the month, they have probably used their salary on transport and other things, and then they have nothing to save. We are not looking at those type of jobs. I think that we should be looking at jobs that one can depend on to make a decent living.
I'm grateful that you joined us, Edward Carraway. He is the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union. So listening to News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM.
Now, the National Security has launched a full-scale investigation into evasion of penalty at weighbridge stations across the country following a report of Ghana Bauxite Company's involvement in overloading its haulage trucks. A Ghana Highway Authority memo cited accuses private weighbridge operators of alleged acts of bribery and corruption. It comes at a time when the Ghana Bauxite Company is reported to have evaded the payment of penalty for overloading haulage trucks to the tune of more than $90 million over a period of 6 years. Now, this is the second part of Joy News' Equity Nite's year-long investigation dubbed $1 Million Evasion.
According to the 2014 Ghana Industries Extractive Index report, the Bauxite Company's earnings increased by 16% from 28.5 million in 2012 to 32.9 million in 2013 due to an increase in shipment from 752,771 tons in 2012 to 826,994 tons in 2013. However, the company failed to pay corporate tax in 2012 and 2013. In February this year, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia at a ceremony in Accra questioned why a bauxite company in the country that has been mining for over 5 years has not declared any profit.
A few months ago, I sent a team to a bauxite mine, and we wanted to find out what was going on there, because for 5 years, even though government had a share in this enterprise, we had received no dividend. So we wanted to find out what was going on. Are they mining or what is going on? But actually, they've been vigorously mining for 5 years and declared no profits because they are claiming they've made no profits. And I'm trying to see how the theory of the firm will predict whether they will survive or not. 5 years of mining without profit, but they are vigorously mining.
Officials of the Ghana Bauxite Company have declined to comment on the matter. General Manager of the company, Fan Jenkon, dropped the call anytime he was contacted by the investigative team.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Who is this, please?
My name is Kwete Nate. I work for Joy FM. Hope you are doing well, sir.
Yeah?
Sir, we are doing a story on Ghana Bauxite, and we're hoping we can
I'm in the middle of a meeting. I'm sorry.
So can I call you back today?
And that was our last conversation. Axle Load Manager at the Ghana Highways Authority, Nicholas Brown, tells Joy News their checks reveal the Ghana Bauxite Company haulage trucks have been overloading. The protest has compelled them not to extend the contract of the private operator of the Bogosu Weighbridge contractor.
We have some information to that effect that some of the trucks hauling bauxite get overloaded, and we as agency, we are taking measures to address it. Recently, we did not extend the contract of the operator who was in charge of the Bogosu Weighbridge station, and Ghana Highway Authority has taken over the management of the station as part of measures to address these issues to ensure that overloading is checked at Bogosu.
Why was the operator's contract cancelled?
Then the ministry has suspended the process for procuring fresh operators as part of the measures to address these practices.
In terms of figures, because when these trucks overload, we do understand that there are certain penalties they need to pay. You earlier told us that you are aware they are overloading. So what penalties have the Ghana Highways surcharged them with?
We are only able to find those who are intercepted and determined to be overloaded. Those that escape your weighbridge station, you are unable to determine the fines involved. So we can't put figures to what we are losing, but we know information from the ground indicate that there's some more practices going on and they are able to overload and escape our weighbridge stations.
But if the over $90 million of penalty evaded by the Ghana Bauxite Company is anything to go by, what it means in relative terms is that the money can provide an 80-kilometer two-lane paved road, 206 unit classroom blocks, 100 chips compounds in rural communities, 578 boreholes in areas with no pipe-borne water, and there will still be about $10 million more remaining. Reporting for Joy News, this has been Kwetenati Awaso.
Well, my colleague, MFA, you have been studying the documents and some details that we are getting from there, because we're hearing that the National Security has already established some form of investigation into this. What are we learning?
So, according to this memo, the Ghana Highway Authority has established 17 weighbridge stations which are managed by private operators, with the exception of Buankra and Damango. Now, the memo continues to say that there's been some allegation that most of these operators take bribes from transporters who overload their trucks, and they are allowed to proceed. They continue their journey with the excess load instead of paying the required fines and shedding off the excess load.
What's the Highway Authority's request?
So they are simply seeking the assistance of national security to assist in monitoring the activities of the operators in order to curb the alleged acts of bribery and corruption. They are also requesting for the installation of monitoring cameras at the weighbridge stations. So that's simply their request.
Well, we can now speak to the Deputy Roads Minister, Mr. Anthony Cabo, joins us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Cabo, thank you very much for your time here on Newsnight. Hello, Mr. Cabo.
Good evening, Evans.
Thank you very much for your time. So, from what I understand, you're already looking into this, correct?
Well, thank you very much, Evans. Let me take this opportunity to, in fact, congratulate Kwetenati for wonderful. They are actually.
Unfortunately, we're having a bad connection to you. We'll try and re-establish connection on a better line and hope to have that conversation very quickly. But this is an issue that, as the report, the investigation that Kote had done in the last 1 year reveal, is costing the taxpayer a lot of money. Monies that Kwete has illustrated could be used to build, construct roads, but also schools, etc.
And we'll still have an excess of 10 million, because it's up to $90 million over the period of 6 years.
And the bit about this that we're also learning, and there's a press conference today that deals with part of this, is that this has been done particularly by the bauxite company, the Ghana Bauxite Company, and they load the trucks, and they don't pay the weighbridge tolls. We'll try and get the Deputy Minister back on the line very shortly as we speak on this, when he joins us on the telephone line. I'm told he's back on the line. We lost you, Ms. Anthony Cabo. You were making a point about the ministry's desire to probe this. Hello, Mr. Cabo?
Yes.
Yes, you're making a point about your desire to probe this.
Yes, indeed. We have collaborated with Kwetenati ever since he brought this to our attention. And Evans, the truth is that we have a major problem on our hands in as far as our weighbridges are concerned. It has been an issue that has been, agitated the minister's attention. And that is the more reason why, coming into office, most of the contracts for private operators of these weighbridges have not been reviewed, because we are taking a view and investigating all the reports and complaints that have come from almost all the weighbridges across the country. And very soon, I think the minister will announce new measures. And so this particular report by Joy FM only came to highlight a problem that has been existing for a very long time. And we don't want to address it in piecemeal. We want to have an holistic approach, and that is the position of the minister and the ministry, and that we must deal with this once and for all, because the consequence of not paying these penalties or avoiding, the weighbridges has on the road infrastructure is very serious. It comes back to affect every single Ghanaian taxpayer, because it's the taxpayers' monies that are going to be used for these. And if these vehicles are clearly overweight and, do not pay the fines and still have to use these roads that we are constructing at great cost, and will have to still destroy it, then there is an issue, and that is why we are addressing the issue.
Kwetenati Kwetana's report identified the Ghana Bauxite Company as a major culprit. In fact, the vice president had cause to complain. The question is, we know from what we've learned from the investigations, they are avoiding the payment of these tolls. We know how much we've lost so far. Is there a deliberate plan to recoup the monies?
You know, if you ask Kwete, he'll tell you when he approached us and we looked at the video and looked at the evidence that he had, the authorities at the Ghana Highway Authority were a bit reluctant to comment on the bulk figure in terms of what Kwete had put out, because the source of his document and the fees regime that we have for these penalties, there were quite some disparities. So we have some issues with that. But having said that, it is to also say that indeed there are some losses to the state, and that is why the ministry and the Minister for National Security is working very closely so we can, the investigations are ongoing in this matter. And Evans, you understand that we will have to wait for this investigation to be done. And that will surely inform the minister's next line of action in how we address this problem once and for all.
What sort of end game generally are you looking at? Prosecution, simply recovering the monies for the state?
Well, we will have to wait to see what the investigation on it. And once the national security is having a handle on this, we would only wait to see what it is. And I'm sure that the two ministers will meet, and whatever remedial measures are there for addressing the problem and recouping our money, or penalizing the company, that will surely be taken.
Thank you very much. Anthony Cabo is Deputy Roads Minister.
It's time now for business, but a couple of your messages that you've sent in. This one says, what I find most intriguing about Mr. Osafo Mafo's promise of 51 one district, one factories by 2018 is that, aside the fact that some promise was made in 2017 and wasn't honored, the 2018 promise has fallen short in terms of numbers compared to the 2017 one, Matao. And that's from Koku Mauli Nanegbe. And this one also says, I'm horrified with the new Ameri deal. If indeed it is what we are being told, then it stinks. It will be a stab in the back if it turns out to be so. Ghanaians need best. And then this one also says the senior minister should bow his head in shame. The president owes Ghanaians an apology. Some of your messages, keep them coming in via WhatsApp. Is 0244340437. Time now to join George Riafe with the latest from the world of business. Good evening, George.
Hello, George. I didn't see you at the breakfast meeting because you're a regular.
Yes, but we're taking care of some other issues, but we're connected one way or the other through social media and other tech platforms. Interesting thoughts over there and how we can finance our industrial agenda.
What do you have in the headlines?
Talking about finance industrial agenda, Construction Bank is actually on course to actually fold up. And we understand that it would depend on the Bank of Ghana granting that approval, as the institution has surrendered its license to the regulator. And Ghana Stock Exchange looks at the option of actually encouraging or even compelling companies to list on the market. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials and stationery. Heaven Plus, Setsai Mosquito Spray, Pleasant on Humans, Tough Nightmare on Insects, United Pension Trustees, My Own Pensions, Papa, and Mark Auto Parts, distributors of Chevy vehicles.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, don't worry, Grandpa. There are still 5 ripe and 15 unripe mangoes on the tree.
That's my boy.
Grandpa, it's still 1.2 kilograms of rice in the container.
My boy. And how much credit did I spend last week?
Well, you spent 5 CDs on calls, 2 megabytes on data, and you sent 5 SMSs.
We are the only network that tells you exactly what you have spent and when you spent it. Dial *545# to access your statement on MTN everywhere you go.
We give you nothing but the best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh
Yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
You're still listening to this budget reading. Share, Massa, say budget necessary. Now, what's the sabi? They say, Miss my personal budget. No, I know where the would you pension. Hey, where the 1 man 1 pension plan? Oh, share, JJ, make what I'm home watching now. Sign up to my own pension plan with United Pension Trustees and gain access to higher interest, additional benefits such as savings account and flexible contributions. Where the pension, papa. Secure your future by signing on to my own pension from United Pension Trustees. Go to your MTN Momo menu by dialing *170#. Select option 9 for pensions and insurance. Then option 1 for my own pension. Then you select option 1 to enroll and follow the prompts. Make daily, weekly, and monthly contributions to build your wealth with United Pension Trustees. For further inquiries, call our customer service center on 0242 436 880 or 0302 208 042. My own pension. Pension Papa.
That is a sweet sound of excellence. That is the sound from Mack. Yes, Mack Ghana is the #1 distributor of the world's best quality Isuzu and Chevrolet vehicles in Ghana. Isuzu trucks from 1.5 tons to heavy-duty vehicles. Isuzu buses from 15 to 33 seaters, double and single cabin pickup, available in automatic and manual transmissions. We also stock a wide range of Chevy cars from SUVs, sedans, and small cars, fully loaded with exquisite specifications. All our range of vehicles stand out due to its high fuel efficiency, safety, luxury, spacious interior, world-class delivery, and after-sales servicing. What's more, we offer flexible payment terms to meet your pocket. Mack Ghana is a sole distributor for Isuzu trucks and pickups, as well as all range of Chevrolet cars in Ghana. Call us on 0302-813-919 in Accra or 0242-039-550 in Kumasi. Visit our website mackghana.com. Mack Ghana, with you for the long run.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. And construction banks plan to finally fold up by August 31 will depend on Bank of Ghana's approval. Now, this was after the bank formally communicated its decision to wind down based on its ability to meet the new capital requirement by the Bank of Ghana. There is more in the following Business Desk report.
Joy Business understands that under the country's banking laws, such decisions should be approved by the Bank of Ghana. Sources say a letter has been sent to the central bank over the bank's decision to fold up. This is because shareholders, together with the board of the Bank of Ghana, have indicated that they cannot meet the new minimum capital requirement of 400 million cedis by December this year. A visit to the head office of Construction Bank in Accra saw the administrative staff of the bank packing their staff out of the office. Joy Business is learning that some other staff have been asked not to report to work tomorrow, leaving behind just a skeletal staff to help finalize the process of closing the bank by end of next month. Sources say the necessary packages have been worked out for the staff, as well as advance the necessary payments to them. They have also instituted measures to ensure customers of the bank are paid all their deposits. Joy Business is also gathering that shareholders of the bank have initially put together a plan to recapitalize the bank, which they struggled to secure regulatory approval.
And that was a Business Desk report. Meanwhile, Joy Business understands that the Construction Bank has surrendered its license to the Bank of Ghana following their decision to fold up. Sources say the Bank of Ghana could also, in the coming days, take actions on other commercial banks that are having serious liquidity as well as solvency issues. Let's still stay on this issue because financial consultant and lecturer at the business school, Dr. Lord Mensah, has described the development as interesting. He's been sharing his thoughts on what he makes about the decision of Construction Bank to actually fold up.
It's quite questionable, and it's quite difficult to comprehend a bank being in business and decide to give up just like that. For me, I think it does not make economic sense. Neither would it make business sense, because at the end of the day, there could be some underground forces that possibly will push a bank to go off the scent, because we know very well that the central bank has raised the bar, and in the end, if you are not able to meet it, there are several ways that you can find a way to still stay in business. For instance, you can merge. For instance, there could be a takeover, and you still have the business in place. But then I don't know how the ownership has been all this while that the whole bank would just force itself to go off the scent just like that.
And that is Dr. Lord Mensah. He is a financial consultant and a lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. The African Center for Energy Policy is making a case for the cost of maintenance to be included in most of the oil-funded projects in the country. Now, the argument follows the value for money impact study by ASEP and the Ghana Oil and Gas Inclusive Growth, which shows that some of the major oil-funded projects, especially those in the Volta region, have been left to rot due to poor maintenance. Al-Hassan Idrisu is a program officer at ASEP.
We went to Dawa irrigation project, we went to Kaimi, and we went to Ohau. In Volta region. Ohau and Kaimi are located in Volta region, but Dawa is in the Greater Accra region. What we have done this time is to conduct an impact evaluation on them after the project is constructed. We realize that maintenance is a problem, and it is a worry that you spend over 1 million cedis in providing an infrastructure for use of the people, but we fail to incorporate maintenance plan into the project design.
Al-Hassan Idrisu is a program manager at ASEP. The Ghana Stock Exchange will soon be embarking on advocacy to compel companies that want to do business in the country to float a fraction of their shares on the capital market. The initiative is seeking to attract both local and international investors on the market. Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Kofi Amwa, disclosed this when management actually interacted with the press on their mid-year performance of the market.
So long as the law is not there in the first place, what will fill the gap is advocacy. Until we get to the point where the law is there, advocacy will have to play down.
What kind of companies are you targeting here?
Companies across a wide range of sectors: banking, insurance, mining, manufacturing, cocoa buying, oil and gas, and so forth. So across a number of sectors. Essentially, the sectors that when a company wants to operate, it requires license from a regulator.
On the half-year performance of the market, it shows that there have been some significant improvement in terms of trades as well as the volumes of shares on the market. And that's all for business on Newsnight. And the MTN IPOs closed today.
Did you buy a share?
Yes.
You bought a share?
About 10,000.
No.
How many shares did you buy?
But how
much did you invest in it?
Let's see what will happen, whether there will be an extension. Because it looks like a lot of people were doing that. The last hours, the banking halls were full, the mobile money platforms.
The key question then becomes whether they hit the target.
3.47 billion.
That's how much they raised.
That's what they are targeting.
Okay.
And you look
at the minimum how much they've raised
and
yet.
you look at the size of the economy, look at this 2 months or so, to raise that amount of money, that would be record.
So officially, you are a shareholder?
No, you never know what was going to happen.
You?
I mean, no, because they are yet to do allotment. It could happen that you'll be given that opportunity or not, depending on how the shares, everything is going to go up.
Okay.
So
thank you for explaining that. So it's not a done deal. So for all those who bought the shares,
you have to wait for the allotment to be done. But what we understand from them is that they will give priority to retail and Ghanaian investors.
Okay.
So if you are fronting for an offshore company outside, they put in about 1 million Ghana cedis. It's like the MFA that.
Is this where the fit and proper test applies?
Not necessarily. The MFA has put in about maybe 10,000 Ghana cedis. She might be given the opportunity than you leading an offshore company.
Okay. George, thank you very much for that.
Now, President Akufo-Addo has tonight been giving the green light to complete the appointment process of Mrs. Jean Mensah as a new EC chair, following Supreme Court's dismissal of an agreement seeking to halt the process. The Apex Court threw out the application of Afali Nyonato, the plaintiff, on the grounds that Article 2, Clause 2 of the Constitution makes available remedies for reinstatement if the court finds the removal of Charlotte Osei unconstitutional. Kwesi Parker Wilson has a report, but just before then, we've been joined on the phone by lawyer Chris Akume. He's a lead counsel for Afali Nyonato. Thank you very much for your time here on Newsnight, lawyer Chris Akume. So for you, what's your own interpretation of today's ruling by the Apex Court? Hello, lawyer Chris Akume.
Yeah.
I'm asking about your own interpretation of today's ruling by the Apex Court.
What is my impression?
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, I think I'm very, very much okay with the ruling. Why do I say so? Because we went to the court, the Apex Court, asking the court to arrest the decline of respect for the rule of law in this country, most especially when there is a matter pending before the court and interested parties are doing things the other way, which one way or the other will affect the outcome of the matter if adjudicated upon. And to that extent, we went to court to take an injunction to stop the further erosion on the powers of the court and the issue of this gross disrespect to the court. And the court is saying, fine, we cannot stop the president from appointing as you want us to do. But fine, you have a remedy, and that remedy is in the Constitution. So if the president or the executive goes ahead with the appointment and your client wins at the Supreme Court, automatically Charlotte Osei will come back and we shall reverse whatever appointment that the president or the executive will have made. So that's exactly what the ruling meant by, inference and deduction. So to me, I was very happy because there was, an advice and a veiled threat in the ruling that if you do this and victory goes to the plaintiff at the end of the day, whatever appointment you have made will be reversed. And I said to myself, that is exactly what we want, and that we gotten it. So even though there is an impression being created that we were thrown out, we were not thrown out. The court listened to us. The court told us, don't worry, we've listened to your apprehensions. We've taken notice of what we want to prevent. We could have done what you want us to do if there were not any constitutional remedy. There's a constitutional remedy, so we don't want to interfere with the matter. Let the matter be adjudicated upon. If your client wins, this is what will happen. I think I have so much great respect for the judges today, and I believe that they have discharged, their duty very well. They have shown their abhorrence to the, usurpation of, the role of the justices of the court when there's matter pending. One should wait for them to adjudicate a and not to take the law into its own. you know. So I'm okay. We are okay.
So you simply will wait for the Supreme Court to determine the substantive matter?
Yes.
Okay.
You see, the substantive matter is a constitutional matter. We are saying that the whole process from day one, from the petition, which is no petition, to the referral to the Chief Justice, which ought not to happen. The Chief Justice, you know, coming out with a prima facie determination, which ought not to happen. Referral to the committee, which ought not to have happened. The committee finding upon which the President has acted by the nomination, which ought not to have happened. The referral to the Council of Elders, which ought not to have happened. And the approval of the nomination, which ought not to have happened. All because right from the beginning, we are saying that the process is flawed. Charlotte Osei's removal was based on Article 146 of the Constitution, which ought not to be. This is a constitutional matter. When we raise the matter in our writ, what the court ought to do by the Constitution of Ghana, or what the committee ought to do by the Constitution of Ghana was to refer the case to the Supreme Court for determination. That was not done. So whatever was done without the interpretation by the Supreme Court, and don't forget, Supreme Court is the only court which has got the power to determine constitutional interpretation of matters of interpretation. And any other body, like the Chief Justice has not got, the committee has not got. That is exactly what they did by telling everybody that Article 146 gives them the leeway for the removal. And we are saying that's not the case. So we know that at the end of the day, there will not be any hiding place for anybody, because this is a constitutional matter and we are very solid in our case, and we think that at the end of the day, justice will prevail and the removal of Charlotte Osei will be declared null and void, and whoever is appointed by the president will have to be removed by him. And that will create another legal crisis for this country.
I'm grateful that you joined us, Chris Akume, a lawyer for the plaintiff in this matter, joining us with that explanation. So in essence, MFA, they had gone to court. There are two legs of this. First leg was to try and stop the president from making a substantive appointment. The Supreme Court says, no, we can't allow you that. We can't stop the president. Let's deal with the substantive matter, which is challenging the whole process of her removal. Once that is determined, and it's determined that the removal was unjust and unconstitutional, it will be reversed.
So Article 2, Clause 2 makes provision for that.
Yes,
So
and
let's allow the
Charlotte Osei will be reinstated. If Jim Mensah is confirmed, the Supreme Court says that will be reversed and Charlotte Osei will take back her position. So that's what they're waiting for now in the long term. It's still News Night on Joy, 99.7 FM. Let's do Sports Time. Baba is here with the very latest.
Hi, Evan. So it's less than 100 days to kick off of the 2018 Women's AFCON. But as it stands now, we're not certain as to which stadium between Accra and Tamale will be the main hosting venue. Refurbishment works on the Accra Sports Stadium. The main hosting venue is not likely to be finished ahead of schedule before the tournament kick-starts on November 17. The Sports Ministry has therefore written to main tournament organizers, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, on moving from Accra to Tamale Sports Stadium if need be. This is a situation that has compelled CAF to put South Africa on standby should Ghana not be ready. Sports Minister Isaac Isiama will meet CAF executives later this week. On top of the agenda will be Ghana's preparedness to host the rest of Africa for the AFCON. The Sports Ministry is confident that Ghana will not lose its rights to host the 2018 Women's AFCON. Elvis Ejeba is Public Relations Officer at the Ministry, and he tells Joy Sports there's no fear as far as Ghana's readiness for the tournament is concerned.
Accra Sports Stadium work is being done.
Will it be finished ahead of schedule?
The contractors at the Accra Sports Stadium have assured that they are going to finish in time for the tournament. That they have assured. But CAF inspection is coming on very soon, and we don't want to risk having the hosting rights stripped from us just because Accra Sports Stadium work is still going on, and as at the time the inspection team was in, work was still going on that day. That it cannot be finished before the tournament starts. We will want to put up contingency plan. That's what we have done. That we feel that the Tamale Sports Stadium should be able to take care of the vacancy that Accra Sports Stadium would bring.
But just how much work is there to be done on the Tamale Sports Stadium? Here is Elvis Ejeiba once again.
The Aliu Muhammad Sports Stadium doesn't have much work to do. Most of the I think the match work that has to be done at Accra Aliu Muhammad Sports Stadium has to do with hotels and the availability of good hotels, which we believe that we can find and make them available to the teams that will be based in our Tamale Sports Stadium.
But the stadium, it means that the Aliu Muhammad Stadium itself is in good shape.
There's not too much work to be done at the Aliu Muhammad Sports Stadium.
If you say there isn't too much work to be done, it means that there's still some amount of work to be done. And what kind of work is this?
Well, that is what the report that we got is that it's about the grassing. I mean, getting the grass, the pitch in shape. Basically, that is it. Because the stadium is in fantastic shape.
Right, so Evans and MFR were still hoping against hope that we'll be really ready to host the rest of Africa from November 17 to December 1 for the 2018 Women's African Cup of Nations. And get ready for September 1, the Joy Sports Invitational. MFR is playing penalty shootouts. What are you doing?
I'm striking. Lukaku.
All right, we'll see about that.
Thank you very much, Babs.
Now, let's focus on William Atuguba. He's a retired Supreme Court Justice, and he's been dismissing allegations that he and other judges of the Apex Court took huge bribes in the 2012 election petition case to sway the outcome of the case. He's been speaking to my colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
Imagine that when we're on this presidential election petition, all sorts of things were being said. We took $5 million bribe or what?
They are not true.
Oh, impossible. Now, if that were true, why is the matter left unattended to? I mean, but there's this culture of impunity in the name of freedom of expression without noticing the prejudicial effect on the institutions they are attacking and which are there primarily for their own interests, the interests of the public. And so when you weaken and pull down these institutions, where is your protection?
Because you are accused of being an NDC person on the bench.
Oh, Lord. Well, I heard from time to time. At the beginning, people were saying now because I was appointed by NDC, I was pro. When I started giving judgment against them, then I heard NDC say I was pro MPP. And when I gave judgment against, then you see what I mean. All our appeal to those who are thinking that way is that they should take all the judgments I have written and then try to subsume them politically.
So you hear the retired Supreme Court Justice Atuguba, William Atuguba there. Now, Evans, what's the engine capacity of your vehicle?
2.4.
Are you sure?
Yes.
It's not 3.0?
No, 2.4.
Oh, okay. So starting tomorrow, those of you who drive vehicles with engine capacity of 3.0.
Yours is 3.0, right?
I'm sure it's 1.5.
Okay.
Yes. It is. So if you drive a vehicle with engine capacity of 3.0 upwards, government describes your vehicle as a luxury vehicle and you start paying luxury taxes from tomorrow. F4 Evans Chinwe has been at the DVLA offices where some vehicle owners have trooped there to register or renew their documentation ahead of tomorrow.
During a visit to one of the private vehicle inspection centers here in Accra, disappointment and anger were literally written on the faces of some vehicle owners who had arrived to renew their roadworthiness certificate. They say they want to escape paying some of these huge levies on their vehicles before tomorrow.
If you're going to come up with levies and have the justifications for them, also let's see the real meaning of roadworthiness. I think that is extremely important. What is roadworthy? So when you charge roadworthy certificates, and how worthy is the road of the cars that we are, how worthy is that road? So, I think the government should look at these things again before they just come out with blanket levies on people. I can agree that not everybody can afford a 4x4, but it's not. It's a matter of necessity for most, not a luxury, as it's being described.
So you had a vehicle owner there interacting with my colleague Ifwa Evans Chinri.
And by the way, that's it for Newsnight tonight. And we'll leave you with that interesting soundbite we had from Parliament last week about the names. Which part of the country is this, MFA? Do you recall?
New Ebrim, we are told.
New Ebrim.
We've been interacting with residents there who've been saying that they are unable to give directions to the village because of the salacious nature of the name.
And then some of the names like the penis is an animal, etc., etc., of course. But these are real names of towns in that part of the country. And the residents there say they are struggling simply to give directions to their own town because of the heavy nature of those names. We'll leave you with that, and after that we'll cross over live to Greater West. My name is Evan Spencer.
I am MFA Paul.
I have difficulty telling people I come from Koteabua, but I once lived at Akwiteman in Accra. And when my neighbors wanted to come for my mother's funeral here, they lost their way because I couldn't tell them the actual name of my village, Koteabua.
Ukasi bi ofi kwacha abako no bi bia we na se bia wo ye na se ampani ampa kroi se ani di fitete e me nana e papa e na be chichire ye. Joy 99.7.